Rand Paul and Mike Lee. What do I say about those two? The day before, Senator McConnell had Senator Toon from South Dakota, the majority whip in the Senate, do a Rule 14 unanimous consent. And that was to go around these guys. And then yesterday, Senator Gillibrand did her unanimous consent. And that was to expose who would be against this. And we found out who it was. And it's the usual suspects. But they're hypocrites at best because, no, not only the hypocrites, they're bottom feeders, they're opportunists. These are men that voted for the $1 trillion tax cut.
So their plan. So Rand Paul's claim of fiscal responsibility, you call BS on because he's proven that he is willing to run up the deficit.
He was the 51st vote on that bill. Remember that, and he was given everything but a president and Mitch McConnell to be that 51st vote. But you cannot cherry pick and choose when you want to be a fiscal conservative. That shame on him. That's not even about politics anymore. We're talking about being a good human being. And Senator Jello from Utah, who made a resolution for Jello in the state of Utah. I mean, if this is their biggest agenda, again, enough with the political crap that spews out of Washington, D.C. into mainstream America. Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, Mike Lee, Ted Cruz, Johnny Isakson, all of the others who are against this, they work for us. And what we're doing now is making the process work. What we always wanted, Allison, we always wanted a straight up and down vote on the floor. We didn't get that in 2010, and we didn't get it in 2015. Now this bill heads to the floor. Rand Paul and Mike Lee can make their amendments, and they're going to get shot down. We have 73 co-sponsors. We have a 2/3 majority.
I mean, that's John Field. I don't know if you remember that Jon Stewart and John Field and a whole bunch of 9/11 first responders went to Congress to ask for money to help people make their medical bills. And all those Republicans, all of them, Rand Paul, half of them are gone now, right? And once they left, they were able to pass the First Responders PACT Act. Remember that? And there was a big, celebration by those guys, but it was a little too late for some of the guys who died from weird cancers, like, not just mesothelioma, not just lung cancers, but pancreatic cancers and kidney cancers and all kinds of toxic, garbage that they ingested when they were down there on the pile, when they were down there in Shanksville cleaning up that hazard. There's a woman, a female FBI agent, she died of a weird cancer all these many years later. I guess people didn't realize that 9/11 was a freaking time bomb, that it was like a cluster munition, the gift that keeps on giving way after the conflict is over. And of course, listen, 15 of the 19 hijackers, I will never, ever go through any 9/11, ever, ever. I don't care if it's the 21st year, the 23rd year, the 27th year, the 39th year. If I'm still alive, I'm going to tell it to you. 15 of the 19 hijackers on those 4 planes that day were from Saudi Arabia. There were 19 hijackers, and 15 of them were from Saudi Arabia. And George W. Bush attacked Afghanistan because that's where he said he was going to find Osama bin Laden, who he never found, never. Obama found him 2011 in Pakistan. Completely different country for those of you who have no concept of the globe. And 20 years later, Joe Biden finally ends that conflict, and people have the nerve to question the manner in which he did it because the previous president had given away the airbase, had given away Bagram in the Doha Agreement, and pulled our troops out to the point where we had 2,000 troops left in the entire country, and said, and we had a date certain to get out of there, and Joe Biden actually got us out of there, and it was just a disgusting day because, I will say, there was a guy on the ground who was charged with watching for Al-Qaeda, watching for Taliban suicide bombers. And the guy who was a military guy who saw somebody fitting the description that our intelligence agency was able to provide said, I see the guy. I know that this is the guy. It's an older guy with a younger guy, okay? And he's, walking around, and nobody, the commanding officer is a lieutenant colonel, went to the soldier and said, "What do you got?" And he said, "I think I've seen the suicide bomber." And he said, "Well, I'll get back to you." And he goes, "What do you mean you'll get back to me? Can't you just authorize me to take him out?" "No, I can't do that." And left the suicide bomber alive. This lieutenant colonel refused to allow this sniper, who could have taken him out, to take him out. That's what happened in Afghanistan. That's the entirety of it. Trump signed the Doha Agreement. Trump pushed us out of Afghanistan. Trump left the mess for the next guy. Actually, that's going to be evidence in Donald Trump's trial, if we ever get there, because Donald Trump said to General Milley, who testified this way, that Trump said he would leave it to the next guy. He was going to leave Iran to the next guy. And this is all going to be testimony that will show that Donald Trump knew he lost the election. That's why it's germane to the impeachment to the impeachment. We're done with the impeachment. We've already impeached him. That's the criminal trial. That's all germane to the criminal trial. But anyway, look, the idea that we finally got out of there 20 years later, and people actually have the nerve to criticize the manner in which we got out of there. It's a freaking war. That was not a holiday. That was not a day at the beach. That was not a fun little romp through the mountains of, Afghanistan. That wasn't looking for Kush. What did you think we were doing there? Gardening? No, I do that. Tim in Texas.
Yeah, hi, Randy. I have a real concern that the Democratic Party is overlooking a huge risk with Kamala Harris as number 2. If Joe Biden has a moment like we've seen with others, what's going to happen? And, they're going to make the election about electing Kamala Harris. So is there any... What is your feedback on that? What do you think?
About what?
Well,
about Biden dying suddenly? No, I don't really think that's going to happen. I think he's like so physically fit that it's kind of amazing. I mean, the guy just took a trip halfway around the world, okay, after showing up at 2 unbelievably damaged areas in our country, right? And then got on a plane, made a deal with Vietnam to cut China out of the Pacific, loop.
I agree with you. I love
somehow
the guy.
I'm supposed to plan for him to die?
How well he... No. I can't believe how well he's done.
How does Kamala become the nominee if Joe Biden dies?
If there is any kind of a medical blip, if he were to have a moment like we've seen out of some others,
so maybe she has a heart attack.
Harris.
Unless she has a heart attack, because in your fantasy world, everybody's dropping dead.
She's not a lead horse, okay?
Why not? The woman was like the first woman prosecutor, I think, in San Francisco. She was the first U.S. District attorney in California. I mean, she led the second largest law enforcement agency in the country. She's not ready.